Welcome to the Dynasty Stock Market with bigz and DFK on Player Profiler News. We're here to talk about Dynasty Fantasy Football with you guys. So jump in the chat. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell and all that stuff that you hear everybody say in every YouTube video that you've ever watched, because it's important. We got to get the algorithm going and get our flowers. It is week 1 of the trade deadline. I have some leagues that the trade deadline happened last night at the end of games. I have some leagues that the trade deadline is this week. This is the last week to make trades. So last week I told all of you guys to your homework assignment for the week was to go out and make as many trades as possible, trading away assets if you were in rebuild to acquire draft picks, trading for assets if you were a contending team or on the bubble. So I want to see in the chat the trades that you've made in your leagues, and we will go over them. I have some, and we could do them one by one. And we will start with DFK. Go ahead and give me a trade that you made. Let me know if it was a contending team. Is it a rebuilding team? What have you done?
Oh my God, man. What's going on, everybody? And I'm wondering, I think people might not like this first trade because it's Travis Kelce. I traded him away on a rebuilding team. And for me, it felt kind of like a low ball, but the trade deadline was actually last night at 11:59, and we got the trade done during the Monday Night Football game. Traded away Travis Kelce for 2 second-round picks, one in 2025 and one in 2026. It's a contender pick, so good for them. That's a good trade for them, I think, on their side. But for me, I like what I'm seeing from this next class. I think I can get a good running back in that range potentially, but at this point, I'm ready to move off of Travis Kelce. I've got plenty of tight end depth there. So, roast me. How you feel about that one?
I don't hate it. I was ready to do that last year at the end of the year, and some people Travis Kelce has been a controversial figure in Dynasty Fantasy for the last. This will be second of 3 seasons. So starting in 2022, we started broaching the subject of moving off of Travis Kelce. People who did it after the 2022 season were a year early because he had a fairly good year second half of the season last year, although the signs were there that he is starting to decline. This year, it's not just an age thing, it's also a scheme thing. He's also not getting the yak that he has gotten. So while the targets and the receptions and everything may be fairly in line with the normal positive and negative regressions over the course of a season, the yak and the touchdowns are what he's not getting. So those of you who got a pick last year for Travis Kelce and turned that into Brock Bowers, that's what we're here for. That's what we're trying to do. So I don't hate it, and you shouldn't be roasted for that.
Yeah, man. And the other one I did, I had asked you about on the last show. I ended up pulling it off. It did not go how I thought. I traded for Russell Wilson and traded it was what I believe will be the late 2026 third for plus Ray Davis for Russell Wilson. So Ray Davis, 2026 third for Russell Wilson. Now, I was a little bit worried about my QB situation. I ended up winning my matchup, even though Russ had a bad game. Really his first one since he's been starting. And luckily, They still won the game, so I'm confident he'll keep starting. But I had actually Anthony Richardson on my bench because I was just kind of panicked, to be honest. But what I will say is I got a week 14 bye where I have Stroud, I've got Jaden Daniels and Anthony Richardson who are all going to be on bye. So I don't think I'm going to regret that in the near term because I'm absolutely going to need that guy. But still, we like Ray Davis. third round pick. What do you think?
I like Ray Davis. I want to see the Buffalo Bills utilize him in more touches per game until I'm comfortable with making a move for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We saw in the last game he only had 2 carries or something like that. It was less than 1 point that he got. We know James Cook's got to go down before he gets some usage.
Right. And there are a couple of concepts at work here. Number one is volume is king in fantasy. And number 2 is consistency. And we talk about players with their ceiling and floor. And a lot of times we conflate that with the player's talent level. And what we really should be doing is with their opportunity level. So a perfect example is this guy that we were talking about pre-show named Quentin Johnston, who had an absolutely horrific rookie season. And right now he's sitting in a spot where he had more targets this week. I think he had 8 targets and 2 catches this week. He had been averaging about 4 targets the weeks before. And he's been running in the mode of he's either going to score 10 points or he's going to score 17 points. And there's a lot of players like that. So what you have to look at is his usage is going to get him in the area of 10 points. A lot of tight ends are in the same spot. They're going to get 8 to 10 points every week. And they're also going to have a touchdown to boost that up to 15 to 17 points every week. So you have to know that you are looking at a floor of 8 points and a ceiling of 15 points. Well, there are some players who they'll go out and they'll get you 22 points, and then a couple weeks in a row, they'll get you 0. And so those are the guys that I don't want to roster. If I can count on 10 points, I can work with that. If I have to look at 0 a couple times, I don't want any part of that. So those are the kinds of things that I have to, a low floor is fine as long as it's not 0.
Yeah. So yeah, man, those were pretty much my trades. I actually did another one, but it was, I'm in the league with my wife, and I felt like it was more leaning in her favor because I have an absolutely super stacked team that was in the Super Bowl last year, and I'm feeling maybe too confident, but I traded away. This is not good, but I traded away a first round pick. This happens to be my only 1 QB league, by the way, but that's Dynasty. So I traded away a first round pick next year. I'm in first place currently, so 112. I also gave Theo Johnson and Sean Tucker for Tyler Lockett, Chuba Hubbard, and 50 Fab. So mainly, by the way, I don't even need Chuba Hubbard. This is mainly, I don't think I need the first either. It's more for leverage, and the trade deadline's already passed. But at the end of the day, she's a rebuilder, needs some help. So I kind of threw some help her way. I'm going to just keep talking because my running backs are Saquon Barkley, Alvin Kamara. I've also got Jonathan Taylor, now Chuba Hubbard, and also have Joe Mixon who balled out. So I have David Montgomery. Don't know if I mentioned Taylor. So yeah, I'm pretty loaded at running back there.
Yeah, and that sounds like you're in a good spot.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson at QB, Cooper Kupp, Tyreek Hill. Really it's just a tight end spot that's kind of iffy since I have Kyle Pitts and Dalton Schultz. That's where I really need some help, maybe. But yeah, whatever, man. I got Jaden Reed on this team too. I'm even Elijah Moore. I'm pretty good at everything except tight end, and I'll figure that out.
That tight end is, it's hard to stream in Dynasty, but tight end is easy.
Yeah, Disley's available. Noah Gray, both of those guys had over 15 points last week.
Well, I'm going to start off with a little background on this league. This league is put together by DynastyTradeCalculator.com. Nice. That's run by John Bosch of Fantasy Cares fame, part of the Scott Fishbowl Network. I don't know what I'm saying. I have some guys in my league, like Bob Gilchrist from Fantasy Cares and John Bosch. They own a team together. Rob Schnabel. There's a bunch of names, and I took over this Orphan. Orphan was in The orphan was in one of the last place positions last year, took over the orphan. I have an infamous tweet out there where I say I just drafted Lad McConkey over Romo Dunze, and I'm not going to apologize for it. And I got absolutely shit on for like 2 days for that. And where am I at now, guys?
Doing good.
And I've rebuilt the team to 8-12. So it's not last place, and I'm only two games. I'm only a week out of making the playoffs. So it's a tweener. It's definitely a tweener league, but I'm looking at it as a continue rebuild. I'm not trying to make the playoffs, but my lineup as it stands is Jalen Hurts and Jordan Love, Najee and Rashad White this week, Ladd, Jaden Reed, Amon-Ra, Wandale, and I also have Garrett Wilson on a bye. And then Trey McBride and Kyle Pitts as my tight ends. So it's not a terrible team, but I did get an offer and smashed accept, and that was I got offered a second-round pick for Calvin Ridley. Now, I accepted it very quickly, and again, my wide receivers are Garrett Wilson, Amon-Ra, Jaden Reed, Ladd McConkey, Jalen McMillan, Romeo Dobbs, Trey Palmer, Wandale Robinson, and I can only start like 3 or 4 wide receivers at a time. So Calvin Ridley had been on the outs for most of the season. He only put together a couple good weeks and hadn't been in my lineup at all. So that's another thing that you guys need to look at is if it's somebody that you're not playing and somebody's offering you a draft pick for it, it doesn't matter how good or bad he is. You haven't been playing him, so he can go. So that's my first one. We are joined by Dixicles, 2 of my favorites. Fire. I love you, Dixicles. Best nickname in the business. All right, we got somebody coming in, and that is Jennifer Sons. I'm tied for first with 2 others in a dynasty and sent a 2026 second for Taysom Hill. Oh, Saints fans, so totally understand he's boom or bust, but with Olave out right now, he'll have good games. Okay, I don't know if you were watching a couple of minutes ago, Jennifer, but I was talking about floor and ceiling players. And when Taysom Hill is on the field, he has a pretty high ceiling because of his versatility. He's going to get rushing touchdowns. He's going to get receiving PPR points. He may even throw a pass or 2. So because of his versatility, he's going to get you points regardless of what he's doing. I'm very, very upset because I'm in a best ball league that slotted him into my tight end position, even though he has quarterback designation. Dropped another tight end out who scored more points than my QB who was in, and I lost the matchup. So sleeper shenanigans.
It was Johnny Smith, right?
It might have been.
Yeah, that's because that's crazy.
Let me take a look. So that's a great trade, Jennifer Sons. Thank you for contributing.
Jennifer, it's expensive. I'll say that. I don't like that trade. But I get it. You know, you're trying to win. He's just one of those that you're hoping for that big game, and he could totally have it happen, man. And I think they lost Foster Moreau. Not lost, but he got banged up in this last game as well. So we could totally see that again. It's hard to imagine that this isn't Hill's biggest game of the season. And he's 34 years old. So we'd love to see him keep playing forever, but he probably tops out at, I don't know, 36 years old. I don't know. You know, maybe I can't put a limit on the great Taysom Hill, but yeah.
And they know what they're doing with him. So he's exactly what Derek Carr needs.
You're buying points. You're definitely buying some points. So hopefully you're not just buying last week's points.
So I was wrong. It was wide receiver that they took out. They put Taysom Hill in a flex spot with his 55 points. And I didn't get Drake May in with 37. And then I didn't get They put in Evan Ingram with his 12.3 points, and I didn't get Elijah Moore in his 18.6.
It must have been a close one. Brutal.
And wait, no, this shows that I won. Wait, what happened? Okay, I did win.
Maybe they fixed it because that would have been messed up.
Okay, so on the league page, yeah, I did win.
Nice, congrats. He says Rizzy likes him too.
Haha! Screw you, Jack Lucene. All right. What's your next? What's your next trade?
I just rattled off 3, man. That's
all okay.
In a week.
Okay, I was going to go one by one. I have 2 more that I want to talk about. I'll do the smaller one first. So this is another contending team, and this was okay. So this wasn't an orphan, but I'm commissioner, and what I like to do is redistribution drafts with orphan teams, and I had 2 teams to replace last year. So I offer to have my team put into the redistribution, and then I offer anybody else to volunteer their team for redistribution. So we had 4 teams in the distro draft, 2 orphan teams coming in, my team, and then another guy volunteered. And out of that draft, I was able to go into the redistribution draft, and let me tell you what
you entered a new league, and you just proposed that off rip.
Same league. Okay. So I have 2 new owners coming into a 12-team league that we've been around for a little while, and I offer to throw my roster in and participate in the distribution draft with everybody. With the orphans. So
I get everyone's league votes and stuff like. I'm just wondering, for an existing league, how acceptable of people to just do that.
I put it up to vote.
Okay, food for thought.
So is that yeah?
I've definitely heard of that before. It's just I just haven't been in that spot. I've just taken the orphan as is. My player profile orphan I took over, that's kind of what led to all of this. But just dominate with the bad team from rebuild it from the ashes.
I just realized because it was a redistribution draft, I have to enter it manually, so it doesn't count. I can't find it, but I have it's RB premium, and I have Breece Hall, Alvin Kamara, and Bijan Robinson.
Okay.
So Breece and Bijan were my first 2 picks in that redistribution.
Breece had a great week last week.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and cancel this trade that I had. It's already canceled. Okay, so this was my trade. So it's a contending team. I just want to I'm in 3rd place. I'm trying to strengthen my playoff chances. So I grabbed Devontae Smith and Josh Downs and Michael Mayer. Now, Michael Mayer was a throw-in. I don't need tight end. I just like Michael Mayer. And he was the 2nd best college tight end in the last 3 or 4 years behind Brock Bowers. The Raiders utilized him last year. He had a rough start of the season, didn't even get in until week 11. Mental health issues or family medical problems, something like that. There is a path to him having low floor or low ceiling production, 5 to 10 points, if it's necessary for me, or if, God forbid, I don't even want to say it.
Don't say
it. He's an insurance policy. I gave up Troy Franklin, Jermaine Burton, a 25 fifth and a 26 first, and I got back Devontae Smith and Josh Downs and Michael Mayer for a playoff team.
All right.
So, I mean, Troy Franklin, Jermaine Burton, they 3rd-year breakout candidates, maybe Jermaine Burton has a big sophomore season when T. Higgins is on the Raiders.
Some of it seems like discipline. One of the games is why he didn't get playing time. Showing up late to meetings, things like that. Maybe he has to overcome more than just play, but I think he's at least get his chance next year.
Yeah, and I keep my 25th first or 25 first. And I get Josh Downs, who's on a heater, and Devontae Smith. They're both young.
Yeah. So now you got proof of Richardson that he can still produce, even though we kind of had that proof already. It's just it feels better now.
Yeah, but he was on my bench in the fishbowl. Shout out to SFB 14 participants. Shout out to Marcus Gailey, who finished exactly 50 points under me. My team had more points against than the playoff qualification point total. And I have 2 wins on the season. So yeah, it wasn't great.
I missed the cut in what I don't know why I had Taysom Hill on the bench in my SFB team, but I had a lot of tight ends, and I feel like I got a good team, but I don't know what happened. Whatever.
That hurts. Whatever. All right. And then I know it's past the trade deadline, but I want to look at my trades. Okay.
Should just be like under there, like just out in the history, like transactions at least. But
that's what I can't find is transactions.
Ooh,
dead air. You're welcome, guys.
Good run the ad break.
It's a good idea. I'll be back on the other side with the trades that I'm talking about.
Hey, you're in your fantasy draft and someone says, hey, that guy's injury prone. I don't want him. And you're like, I don't know. I don't think you can predict injuries. Well, guess what? Now you can. Injury proneness is real. At Player Profiler, we have the data on these players, and it's all in the Injury Finder app. Their injury track record back through time, exactly where they were injured, how severe it is. We look at the BMI data, and we crunch it all together, and we give you probabilities that a player will miss multiple games this NFL season, as well as the complete database of NFL injuries and the ability to compare 2 players and look at their injury track record. The Injury Finder is powerful, and it's only $5. If it's worth it to have that peace of mind when you're drafting, go get it.
Okay, so here's what I did. This is a very shallow IDP league. We have 3. We have 1 DL, 1 linebacker, 1 D-back, and I made a trade in that. And then the big news trade that I made, I traded away Breece Hall.
Ooh. Oh yeah, we were talking about this one offline.
Yeah. This is definitely like a building team. I do have a lot of young pieces in the top corner of your team page in Sleeper. There's a little icon that looks like a graph, and if you hit that, it'll show you the ages of all of your positions. And I'm the youngest at every position and the youngest overall. So this team is a comer. It's up and coming. I traded away Breece Hall. I got back Khalil Shakir. I was offered somebody who was older than Shakir, and I said, no, I want Shakir. And Tank Bigsby, who I'm not a big fan of. Those were the 2 player pieces I got that were kind of like, okay, whatever. But I got 2025 4th and 5th. Sorry, 2025 3rd, 4th, and 5th, 26 2nd, 26 3rd, 26 1st. Now, I would have liked to have picked up another first. I think 3 firsts is what his value was at. But the fact that I got 6 picks and I know what to do with them, I also know the league very, very well. I know my league mates, and I know the kinds of guys that I can be drafting in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th rounds of our leagues. The kind of value the kind of meat that these guys leave on the bone, I'm very familiar with. So I feel good about it. But it was a huge trade. I was dealing with a couple different offers, and I thought that was something that I could do and absolutely like fortify my team moving.
Yeah, we had talked about it before the big game he just had, and I still felt at the time you're basically getting sticker price anyway. So even after the game, it didn't even really change anything.
And what I like about it is the fact that I have Jaden Daniels, I have Brock Bowers, I have Jackson Smith and Jigba, I have George Pickens, I have a lot of really young, really good players that are in the next 2-3 years. They're going to start filling out the top 5 and 10 of their positions, and I also have enough of the supplemental picks that I can continue rebuilding over the next 3 years, right? It's not about building for 2025. It's about building for 25, 26, 27. It's about losing some pieces and reintroducing some other pieces. And then the last trade that I did, where was it? There it is. I traded away Myles Garrett.
Okay.
But Van Ginkel's been just fine for me. And I got back Dontavian Wicks and a 25/5.
Okay. Yeah, it's a big name.
It's a big name.
Tackles? Tackles are worth a lot. I don't know what his sack total is, but yeah.
So right now, the DL1 is Andrew Van Ginkel, and he's mine. He has 112 points for the season, and Myles Garrett, even though he has his name, that's about all he has this year. He is currently ranked. Scrolling. DL 29.
And DLs generally have less tackles than like a linebacker, and linebacker. That's why you want more of those. At least in my format,
Van Ginkel should be a household name, correct? I know you're not biased, you stinky purple Vikings fan. But you know who else should be a household name? White Max, Pat Jones. All right.
Yeah, I remember Van Ginkel from that Miami Hard Knocks, and he's been good ever since.
Yeah, I love him. He's one of those guys that you luck into, where it was just a free pickup off the waiver wire just to like supplement. I drafted friend of the program Latu, and knew that I was going to wait on him for a little while. But Myles Garrett became expendable. I don't think Dontavian Wicks and another 5th round pick are going to, be the difference for me at any point. But, I like him to get rid of his yips and maybe be productive at some point in his career. Maybe when the Packers let him go. All right.
Be a focal point in the offense somewhere. And a lot of these IDP leagues, mine goes to 7 rounds. How about yours?
This one goes to 5. Most of them go to 7 or 8.
Yeah. So it's still pretty deep in that 5th round.
But the thing is that the IDP is so shallow.
Bucky Irving went in my 5th round. Like Cooper DeJean was there. We got Braylon Allen. I think Tyron Tracy was in that range. So, yeah, there's some guys there.
The way this one is set up, most people don't draft defensive players. So defensive players are basically just like as
Waiver
soon
wire.
Once the season starts, then we start like dropping the rookies that we drafted that, didn't make the team or are on practice squad or whatever. But I am in some IDP leagues where it's like you're drafting LBs in the 1st round.
Yeah.
And all right, so let's get to some stock up, stock down. I think I have I don't. I did. I don't anymore. Let's get to some stock up, stock down. So, well, actually, you know what? No, let's do something different. I'm gonna play another ad. We'll be right back, and we'll talk to you on the other side.
Hey, I want to thank you for being part of this broadcast. If you have any thoughts.
That's the wrong one. I need a producer.
Now, I know many of you are looking for a secret weapon for your Dynasty League, and I have it. It's called the Dynasty Dominator app. You go to the App Store, go to Google Play. It's right there. It's $5 to download, and then every year it's $5 to load the next incoming class of rookies. You can add Superflex, add tight end premium. It's incredible because it allows you to look up players. It allows you to vote on whether a player is a buy, hold, or sell, and then see the market sentiment on that player. And you can compare their lifetime value rating from Player Profiler to their Dynasty ADP at the FFPC, all in the price lookup tool. And beyond that, we have a trade analyzer, so you'll never lose another Dynasty trade again. And in our settings, you can set this is a win now team, this is a rebuilding team, and then we let you compare players. Look at their metrics side by side, prospect metrics, NFL metrics. It's all there. It's $5 in the App Store. There's some add-ons for Superflex and to buy the upcoming rookie class. Every year, you're going to spend $5 on this thing, and it's going to be well worth it.
All right, this cold brew is starting to like really do its thing. So I did remember something I wanted to talk about. Not part of the show. Richard, are you still watching? If you're still watching, I want to ask if you remember the kind of bet we made on one of your shows. It was a pie bet on the performance of Curtis Samuel versus Khalil Shakir, and I just want to say if you want to do okay. He's here. So I'll set up a studio. You can come on. We can each do the pie at the same time on the video, and then you can play it on your show. Because we're absolutely losing that bet.
Awesome.
All right. So I want to talk about something real quick here. So okay. I have a little saying. I forgot my saying. I'm often wrong, never not confident. So in this game, we have flag plants, we have hot takes, we put ourselves out on limbs, whatever metaphor you want to give it. And a good hit rate is probably 60% of the time. You're absolutely right. A lot of times it's 50-50. If you're only getting a third of your takes correct, it's probably not, you're probably not using data. So sometimes you use the data and the data is wrong. Sometimes you use good process and good process bites you in your ass. And part of the data is that running backs tend to stop producing or fall off a cliff right around the age of 28. Now we know that there is a caveat there that elite producers tend to have their careers extended beyond that 28-year-old window. But there's a guy that I don't know what to do with, because he was on the very top, the first guy on my do not draft list this year for 2023 in redraft. And I have never been a fan, and I haven't had a whole lot of shares in him. And I totally begged off him to start the season. And currently he's sitting as the RB1, and that's 28-year-old Joe Mixon. What are we doing with Joe Mixon?
You got to buy. Just like with these other veteran running backs that are producing, the trade deadline's still open. I'd be going after him to get him, but those teams that got him are probably competing because it's been consistent. And that's what you want. Like you said, you want opportunity and consistency, and it's absolutely there. And you see that, even with Nico Collins coming back, it's not easy for the pass game to just really get it clicking. Whether it's balanced or not, you like what you're seeing out of the run game, period. And they traded away Cam Akers, who was really the best threat to him, because Dare Ogunbowale is more of the pass catching threat. And they've already went away from Dameon Pierce last year, so it's the Joe Mixon show. And any sort of workhorse running back that was rare, a couple of years ago, workhorse running back. It's even more rare nowadays. Although there are some obvious names we can point to, but if you find a workhorse back, you gotta go after him. And I would say contenders got to be willing to give up a first round pick if you think you're going to get him away from somebody. I don't see anyone doing a second, especially not 2 late seconds or something like that. It would have to be, at this point, we got an idea of if it's an early or late. So it would have to be early second or late first. It's rough. It's scary to want to do that for back, but that's the range we're talking.
Yeah, and as soon as he missed a game due to injury, I was like, see, I was totally right. And then and then he came back and just absolutely caught fire. He's been bonkers.
They haven't had a bye week either, so he's going to have one more chance to get healthy during their week 14 bye.
Yeah, so obviously contenders, if you do have like another week before your trade deadline, a first round pick for the RB1. And if I'm a rebuilder, I'm taking that first round pick and getting off a 28-year-old running back. You just kind of like in Dynasty, it's better to be early than be late. And so I have fewer qualms about being early, but it just like sometimes a guy seemingly comes out of nowhere. I mean, Mixon's been good. It's not like he hasn't been good, but the fact that he's RB1 is that's like at 28 years old. That's the thing that's kind of unhinged about the whole thing. All right, so we talked about Joe Mixon. We talked a little bit about Taysom Hill. Let's talk again about Taysom Hill's value, where you see it, because Jennifer traded away a 26 second. And you said that was a little bit rich.
Yeah, I was saying it was high. He's 34 years old. I think max a couple years left, but the role will always be inconsistent. So she was in first place, so she has other options. So you're now benching someone who on any given week could likely outscore him, but I don't expect the lottery to come back. So it's not like I don't mind going after him. I was trying to go after him, but for a third round pick, I get it if people don't want to make that move, but if you're a rebuilder, you're desperate to get rid of Hill for this is the best cash out you're going to get. So you have to sell him if you got him, and it's a rebuild. If you're a contender, I'm not advising anyone give him more than the third.
So he has scored in his last 5 games 14, 8, 16, 7, and 41. Obviously, the 41.52 points this week, that's an outlier. It's not like it's something that we can count on. But like I said in the beginning, and I wasn't even looking at the numbers when I was talking about 8 to 15 points as like a floor and ceiling for tight end. He's been delivering exactly that. So what is your average tight end? And those are tight end between tight end 5 and tight end 22 finishes. So that's roughly the range that that everybody's looking at. Similar tight ends are going for basic value, but you are going to have those spike weeks where he's like, oh my God, Taysom Hill's out of his mind.
So we've seen him have injury concern over the course of his career. He's getting so much usage. We're not going to be surprised to see him get banged up again. But also what I was saying earlier was that there are tight ends in some of these leagues that are available that have put up some of those points in that range you're talking about. Will Disley has been widely available, put up points in that range, and has been getting a lot of targets in 3 of the last 4 games. I've seen Jonnu Smith be available. I've seen Zach Ertz be available. Also, those 2 are getting targets in that exact same range, 6 target range, stuff like that. Taysom Hill is actually getting some targets in this game too. A lot of times it's other ways he's getting the work. So he was literally involved in every possible way in this game, which is great. I'm just saying you could keep your draft pick and get one of these tight ends that actually may this very next week in week 12 outscore him. That's totally likely. There's guys that are even available on waivers that you don't even have to go after with draft capital. So that's kind of why I feel like, go get them if you can. I'm guessing people are not giving them up for a third, which to me, if you're a rebuilder, you should just whatever you can get. Go ahead, maybe 2/3 if someone wants to give you that. But second, that's the most I've seen them go for. So shout out to them, and I hope Jennifer wins it.
And I think the thing that Rizzi unlocked was they brought Jamal Williams in for a reason, and he just has not done the Jamal Williams thing that Dennis Allen had envisioned. And I think Rizzi correctly figured out that Jamal Williams isn't that guy anymore, and Taysom Hill just may be. So,
yeah,
what if
behind Kamara?
What if next year Taysom Hill gets the goal line carries that Jamal Williams had in Detroit a couple years ago? And Jonnu Smith, by the way, the last 6 weeks, 11 points, 22, 6, 9, 7, and then 28 against the Raiders, which I told everybody, go do that. All right. So next guy on the thumbnail had a pretty damn good game. Hashtag Novato boys. We share a hometown. He's the second best football player born in Novato, California. Jared Goff. How long does Jared Goff have? What are you doing with him in Superflex leagues? What are you paying for him? What's going on with Jared Goff?
Yeah. Excuse me. Definitely first round pick caliber, and we can talk, down to the range, because we're thinking it's going to be potentially a down quarterback class. What does that exactly mean? There's probably going to be two guys we feel confident in as far as they're going to have that starting job. Maybe it's Shador and Cam Ward. It doesn't really matter who it is. It's just Jared Goff. We got a locked in role on a great offense. So you're thinking Goff is going to give you more than those guys, not only because of what he's already doing, but also Sanders is not a fast guy. I look at him when he breaks away and run. I don't see a super fast guy like that. So you're not like, he may have tendencies to run, but you're not banking on rushing points from these quarterbacks either. So I see them sort of in that same range as what Goff can produce. So, but if you want that production now, and he's going to have this job locked in for the future, I definitely think he gets another contract at some point. Doesn't have to be this offseason or whatever, but he will. He's got 5+, maybe a decade left in the league. So if you want that on your team, I'm thinking that's at least 105 draft pick range. There's going to be a lot of running backs we like, but there's going to be definitely a big running back we like, a couple of receivers we like. Maybe somebody prefers a younger quarterback, but I feel like once you get past the big three in any class, you got to start looking at some of the veterans, because if you had given up, maybe a 105 or later in this 2024 class for some of these veterans that are going off now, you'd be happy. And I think the same is going to be true this next year, that you'd be happy with the Jared Goff at 105 or whatever you might be giving up there. So that's kind of the range I'm seeing. If you want to get them on your team, be willing to give up that type of pick. So you might have already traded for that pick from someone else, something like that. If you're a contender, it's going to be late, and you're probably going to have to give up a first and a second.
Go and get Jared Goff. Save your 2026 first for Rocco Becht.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. This is actually a very deep quarterback class. It reminds me a lot of the 2024 running back class. There's not anyone who's going to be at the top of the fantasy production charts, but there are a lot of guys who are in that mid-range. Unfortunately, in the NFL, they're going to be getting that top 5 draft capital. Shador Sanders, Cam Ward, those guys both have a lot of stuff to work on. I've talked about on the show my impressions a couple years ago of Michael Penix and Bo Nix. I see the same problems with those two guys as I saw with Nix and Penix 2 years ago. They're just not going to get that seasoning in college because they're coming out this year. And then you have guys like Carson Beck, you have Quinn Ewers. Now there's an analysis that shows guys in their recruiting level, their recruiting talent level, their star rating on 24/7 and Rivals, and the percentage of NFL hits, and 5-star quarterbacks coming in have a 25% chance of NFL hit, and there's only one guy in the 2025 quarterback class in the draft that was a 5-star recruit on both Rivals and 24/7, and that's Quinn Ewers. Then you have Jackson Dart.
He has the highest score ever, for what it's worth.
Yeah, and then you have Jackson, and he had an injury this year, which kind of derailed his show me season. Jackson Dart is like a running quarterback, and somehow he has Ole Miss in contention. You got KJ Jefferson coming out. You got there are a lot of guys who are coming out in this class that at some point could have starting capability in the NFL. But there is no Jaden Daniels. There might be a Bo Nix or 3, but there is no Jaden Daniels, somebody who's gonna come in and just immediately like be off the charts, unless I'm totally wrong. And there are 4 guys who are going to do that nobody sees coming. But I do have a message to all of the mock drafters out there, all of the guys who are like putting out their, we have kind of a thumbnail sketch of what the first round is going to look like right now. We got the Jaguars at the top, all the 2 and 8, 2 and 9 teams. Please, for the sake of my sanity and my blood pressure, stop mocking Shedeur Sanders to the Raiders. Please. I can't take it. I can't.
You know why it's happening? They're looking for places with that father-son combo, and some folks are losing hope on Antonio Pierce and thinking Sanders might take his job, even though I heard Sanders doesn't want to do NFL coaching because he's a recruiter at heart. It doesn't work like that in the NFL. So I don't even think that happens, but it would be fun if it did.
I don't want to go through the next 8 months of Shedeur Sanders to the Raiders.
You know what that means? It means you need to put out a mock that specifically doesn't have Shedeur going to the Raiders. And I want to know when we're doing, a quarterback review or something on the show.
Well, as soon as we get out of the regular season in fantasy, we'll do playoffs and we'll start scouting. And because the rookie draft is important, and we've got the Senior Bowl to talk about, we got the Shrine Bowl to talk about, we got the Combine to talk about. We have Dynasty is a year-long thing, you guys. It's not just like dictated by the weeks of the season. It is like it's a 365-day adventure, and that's why I love it so much.
And I'm not going to pretend I'm a quarterback guru, so I would love to hear some of your takes. So looking forward to
it. Based on that one analysis, I want Quinn Ewers. And I think if the Raiders manage to somehow like avoid the tank and win a couple more games and drop into, like later in the top 10 or whatever, I think he's a perfect candidate. Let somebody else go and take Shedeur Sanders. I love Jackson Dart, and I've always been a proponent of clipboard holding for young quarterbacks, and B, if you have a top 5 pick, getting the best package that you can and trading back. Those are 2 things that I'm like a heavy advocate for, and I would love for Tom Telesco to do that. If you have like say we continue and we finish at 2 and 15 with the number 1 pick, trade it away, get another first rounder, get pieces, get more draft picks, keep building that line. Our young cornerbacks have played phenomenally. All 3 are out. We had Nate Hobbs miss this last game, and then in the game against Miami, we lost Jack Jones and Jacorian Bennett. Jacorian Bennett made a huge jump from year 1 to year 2 and looks absolutely legit, like Pro Bowl level corner. And then he gets hurt and leaves the game early. Trevon Merrick has earned himself. He's a safety, earned himself a big contract. The Raiders defense, somehow it's a scheme thing against running backs, but we've been able to hold down wide receivers. And once the defense is out on the field, because the offense can't do anything, the defense is out there for 40 minutes and you lose the run game. I saw as simple as that.
I saw Mason Graham mocked to the Raiders and won out of Michigan. So maybe you get your wish. Maybe you got straight back and get him.
We need offensive line help. We obviously need a quarterback. That's for sure. So I mean, and I don't even mind the grab, but you can move back and still get Quinn Ewers. That's all right.
Should we help out Sal here?
Yeah, who's better? T Spears or A Estime? Sal, I don't think you need to put the T Spears. I think we all know who Spears is. But same with the Estime. Just need a good flex for the week. Let me see if I can find something for you. I don't know who those teams are playing.
Yeah, I can pull it up, but yeah, I know that at least I heard Pollard should be healthy for the next game, going up against the Texans with the tough D line, and Pollard's the main guy there. I know that we wanted or heard that Estimate was going to get more work. He did not actually get more work in this last game, and they put up so many points and really didn't use the running backs at all, which is kind of surprising. But I wouldn't be surprised if they do go back to Estimate. And the week prior, he was the leading rusher. And even Javonte in this past week, he had the touchdown, but that was a touchdown where the whole offensive line pushed him into the end zone. It wasn't like if Williams had gone down on that play, just without the whole line helping him, I bet Estime would have been in there in one of the next few plays and maybe gotten that touchdown. So I'd rock with Estime and expect he gets back to a double-digit carry share this week.
Well, I told everybody last week on maybe it wasn't the show, it was probably other shows, to pick up Estime, but don't put him in the lineup because there's no way that we know what's happening with his usage. So real quick, Sal, DFK is
the Raiders going against your Raiders,
right? DFK is going to tell me who Spears is playing, but this is the problem. The whole team is on bye, yes, and I was looking through my lineups this morning, and it's just like it's doomed. This is my bye-mageddon. Week 12 is horrible. Almost all my guys are on bye, so just need a good flex for the week. It's lucky that it's just a flex and not because I was like moving starters out to make room for waivers this week. So who are the Titans playing?
All right, so I had Titans versus Texans.
Okay, then I'm definitely going with Estime.
Yeah, Raiders are. It's like even if the Raiders' defense was good, it's still they're projected to have a lead, and I could just see them playing a little garbage time ball there and just running out the clock towards the end, to be honest. Whereas the Titans, they're going to probably be throwing it and be behind. Titans projected to be losing by 8.5, whereas Broncos are projected to be winning by 5.5.
And the Titans only give up 12 points per game against running backs anyway. So Estime is the guy. The other thing that you have to think, Sal, is a few of my leagues, I was like, I'm not even going to bother. This is an L. I'm going to make the playoffs anyway, but I'm going to take this one as an L. This isn't going to be the week that helps me or whatever. So yeah. All right. So week 2 of trade deadline. So go ahead and just like last week, if you're watching right now, if you've been in the chat, this is the time to make those trade offers. If you're on a contending team, trade those draft picks for guys that will help you. If you're on a rebuild, trade those draft picks or trade those guys that will help a contender. But make sure it's a bubble guy. Don't be trading to the number 1 team. Make sure it's a bubble guy so that the draft picks that you're getting back will at least be high mid round instead of like the 12. Yeah. And then report back next week with the trades that you made in the chat, and I'll have some more, and DFK will have some more, and we'll see you next week. Anything you want to leave them with?
Hey, good luck this week, everybody. Hit the like and subscribe button. Appreciate you guys. And yeah, man, you can still use this by Mageddon as a weapon. If you are able to get some trades and get your lineup in order, your league mates are going to probably be going up against the same struggle as well, right? So be the one who has a solid starting lineup when they're barely able to get someone in their flex, and that might just be the difference in the win. Because I could see this week high score being like 150 points in some leagues, or maybe even lower if people just can't get the numbers up there. So yeah, don't do anything too egregious, too short-sighted, but
Yeah.
try to get that win. All right.
Yeah, and thank you for everybody that was in the chat, especially Dixicles. I'm not going to go have one right now. And as every week, well, not every week, but for this week, unless your name is Sean Raycraft, Mike Greinberg, or Big Draft Energy, I hope you win.
Hey, I want to thank you for being part of this broadcast. If you have any thoughts on it, leave a comment. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like. And if you want to see more shows on the Player Profiler channel, subscribe to it. That's how we know you want more.
Oh, shit.